What's up? You back rocking with your boy, the Expert Bowler here at Expert Bowler Gaming. And today we're going to talk about how you actually find your target on the lane when you're bowling. I know many of us have lots of bowling balls that we can choose from, and we can, go through our bag and pick our favorite one or our favorite color. But I think the best strategy that you can use to pick the right ball that's going to help you find the perfect target the fastest is going to be a ball that is kind of in the middle of your bag, maybe one ball up from the middle of your bag, that's going to be pretty smooth and controllable, not too angular. So not a big skid flip ball, something that's going to be good length, a little bit of mid lane, with at least a controllable arc and motion to the pocket, not that big, giant hook. What that's going to allow you to do is that's going to allow you to throw your ball in a part of the lane where it's closer to the friction, where you can tell how much friction is on the lane, how much oil is on the lane, how long the pattern is, and then we can make an adjustment using all of those marks and arrows that we talked about in the last video in order to find your ultimate target to get to the pocket. So let's say you don't have a bunch of bowling balls to choose from. Let's say you only have one. We're gonna take one ball and I'm gonna show you how to do it with one ball. So I'm gonna take a ball that I told you not to use. The really, really strong ball that's got a lot of back end, it's kind of more skid flippy. Because some people, this might be all you have. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw my ball to the right, in between like the second and the third arrows to the right just a little bit towards the gutter. So that way we can see kind of how much oil is in the middle of the lane and how much friction is to the right, and kind of get a gauge of how long the oil pattern actually is, which will determine kind of where we end up at overall. We're gonna go to about 70%. All right, so as you can see, I didn't throw like a full speed, full rev shot. I kind of bagged off of it a little bit and took like a 70% shot, right? Where I didn't do anything too drastic. I kind of just rolled it down there, and that ball actually rolled up nice and purty into the pocket. So I think that we have found kind of a good starting point where we can line up. Now I know that I would throw it a little bit faster and hook it a little bit more. So I might have to move a little bit to the left, but I at least know I should be able to keep my ball in between the second and third arrow with it not getting out, too much past close to the first arrow, and that should work. So let's try it again. All right, so that one I hooked it just a little bit more and my ball went high. So I think that's a good indication of kind of what I would need to do. It could have went high because I got it a little bit to the right with as much, extra revolutions as I put on it. But it could have went high just because I put more revolutions on it with that same speed. So I think that in order to find out really what the lane is doing, we need to move left, right? So we'll take that same shot, the same kind of speed and rev rate, and we'll move left. So last time we talked about one of the most common moves that people would make, especially bowlers with a decent rev rate, would be a 2-on-1. 2 boards left with your feet and 1 board left with your target. But this time, I don't think we need to make a move that will open our angle up. I think we need to make a parallel move where we move the same amount of boards with our feet and the same amount of boards with our target. So that way we keep our line or angle that the ball was going down the lane pretty similar, which would kind of give us a better indication of what the lane is doing. So we're gonna take a 2 and 2. 2 boards left with our feet, 2 boards left with our target. All right, so that looked a little bit better. I think that that'll be a closer point to where we will start. So we'll kind of memorize what that spot was where we were standing, what we were looking at, and then we'll throw a few shots and we'll see how it works out, and we'll kind of amp it up to full speed. thrown a few shots at the spot where we think would be a good spot, where we made the 2 and 2, 2 boards left with our feet, 2 boards left with our target from where we started off at. And how do we know if that's a spot that works after we've thrown 2 or 3 shots? Well, we got one a little left of where we wanted to throw it, and our ball read up and it struck flush, right? High flush. We also got one to the right. Now, while it did go a little longer, it still recovered back to the pocket and got like a light mixed strike. So I think that's a good place to start. You don't want to start so close to the dry where you don't have any area to miss to the right or miss to the left. The best case scenario will be that you have the ability to pull it a little bit and miss left, and to miss right a little bit and your ball still hit the pocket and strike. You don't always have that, but that's the best case scenario. Let's switch balls. Let's throw another ball, something that's a little longer and a little more angular, so we can see what that means in the spot that we're at. So I think those are 2 really good shots that we threw that are right where we wanted, where we threw the Defender Hybrid, the stronger ball, which got back to the pocket. And as you can see, my ball did not get back to the pocket. So let's say I wanted to try this ball out and I wanted to throw it to see what would happen. I would have to now make an adjustment with my feet, with my target, to try to get this ball to the pocket. So I would say we could take that same 2 and 2 that we took left back to the right, get a little closer to the friction, and maybe the ball that is a little weaker, a little more angular, might get to the pocket. Let's see. So the first shot when we made the 2 and 2 back to the right, it got to the pocket, but it got there weak and I left a flat 10. So what that says to me is that either I need to hook it a little more, or I need to move just a little more right in order to get that ball to bounce off the friction a little harder to get me a strike, because maybe I'm still a little too far in the oil. So what I would prefer to do is see if I'm still too far in the oil. So let's move another 1 and 1 to the right, 1 board with my feet, 1 board with my target. Let's see what happens. All right, so as you can see, we moved the 1 and 1 back to the right. 1 board with our feet, 1 board with our target, and that got us to the pocket in a better way. We threw 2 strikes out of the 3 shots we threw. 1, we was dead on target, we struck. 1, it was a little right, we struck, right? 1, it was a little left of target, and I wrapped the 10, which isn't really that bad, because being that far to the right with the amount of rev rate I have, I know that it's gonna start to break down pretty quickly, or I can, roll it a little differently to get my ball to pick up in the oil. And I think that actually would be okay. So I think that, that's a good illustration of what it looks like when you're close to being in the right spot. I just think that that's probably not the right ball to be throwing on this pattern, because I didn't strike when I missed to the left. I mean, the goal is to strike when you miss. I didn't strike when I missed to the left. So I would throw the Defender Hybrid and move a little left. So I think that I would take that 3 and 3 left with the Defender Hybrid and use that ball. It's less work on me. It's probably going to be a more consistent shot over time. But it's kind of hard to tell, and you have to continue to move based on, what your ball is doing going down the lane. But what happens if we move too far left? So let's see if we take our Defender Hybrid and we explore deeper, farther into the middle of the lane. So we were lined up pretty good where we knew we could throw strikes, but let's move completely out of that area and let's move like another arrow to the left. So we'll move like 4 and 4, 4 boards with our feet left, 4 boards with our target left. Let's see what happens. All right, so I think we threw 3 pretty good shots. 1 right on target, which kind of mixed them. 1 a little left, which was half flush. And then 1 a little to the right, which wrapped the 10, right? So as you can see, when we were lined up exactly where we should be at, we threw 3 strikes. When we were a little too far to the right, we didn't get 3 strikes because we didn't have area to miss to the right and to the left of our intended target. And when we were too far to the left, we didn't have area to miss and still strike to the right and to the left of our target. And that's the goal. The goal is to be able to line up with the ball you're throwing in the perfect part of the lane where you have mistake room to the left of your target and to the right of your target, because imperfection leads to perfection. What do I mean by that? They got a robot. The robot can throw the ball in the same spot every single time, and it's never bowled 300. You gotta miss just a little bit if you wanna bowl a perfect game. So that perfect game takes a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill in order for you to be able to achieve success. I am the Expert Bowler. This is Expert Bowler Gaming, and we out.